Hi. Who am I and what is my story? Now, I get this question a lot, and I must be honest, this is a question that I myself was perplexed most of my life for, and that's probably what led me on my spiritual journey for the deep seeking that I have been on, that has led me to where I am now, and I suppose is continuing my growth as to who I guess I am becoming. So to start with, my name is Nicolle Leanne. I own Holistic Vitality Energy Healing, and to start my story, I guess we could say where I started was I was born and raised in South Africa, Johannesburg, to be specific. I'm now, as I'm making this video, 30 years old, or young, and I'm a new mom. I'm married. That's where I'm at right now. But to start from the beginning as to, I suppose, what my credentials are and the journey I've been on that has, I guess, provided those spiritual credentials as to the work I am doing. I guess the credit I need to give to is my mom on this one, because she pulled out of the church, because she was raised Catholic, when or after I was born, because they refused to baptize me due to the fact both her and my father both had prior marriages and therefore was divorced. So she couldn't understand the concept that an innocent baby was being punished and the church was refusing to baptize me because of their decisions. And honestly, I can say that is the most grateful thing I am to my mom, because for that reason, she kind of gave me an open doorway into exploring my spirituality by not programming me with her beliefs based on what she was conditioned with, and hence more religious connotations there. And therefore, I was able to explore many different things starting very young. And I honestly can say I have had the opportunity to explore many things that would blow most people's minds and challenge most traditional belief systems. That being said, that is a big reason why most of my life I also felt like I didn't belong, that I was different, that nobody understood me, and therefore I felt like I didn't understand me. Again, that who am I? So at age 12, when I moved to the United States, I could say I was very in touch with the feeling of not belonging. And therefore I started seeking the answer to that question, and which led me down the first modality that I really dove into at age 12, and that was astrology. Now, astrology at first was more entertainment and fun until I realized how deep it really was and how specific it was to your exact birth time, and how that, therefore, the interpretation of what all the planets were doing at the very minute of your birth provided a sort of blueprint as to not only your personality, but also gives you an idea of your talents, your strengths, your weaknesses, predictive astrology, compatibility. There was so much to it that to this day I still feel like I've never reached the bottom of the study of astrology. So that has now become one of the services I offer in my business, starting from my lifelong pursuit of studying astrology. Now, that also then, I guess, at age 13 led to another doorway that got opened for me. Now, this is one that I've kept primarily to myself for most of my life, because again, most people would be, I guess, skeptical about it or judgmental towards it. whatever. But it's a big part of my story. So basically, my mother and my grandmother introduced me to a modality called the glass. And what this modality is a tool to connect to the other side, right? The higher realms, per se, or spirit world. In which case, we were able to communicate with, at the time, my great-grandmother, or any other deceased loved ones. And since I now get to use it as a tool to connect to my grandmother who has passed away, my grandfather, and any of my guides. This particular tool, I would say, is to give you an idea what that is. It's similar to, I suppose, the Ouija, except it's more of a homemade version, and that's been really powerful, opening for me to connect to the spirit world at a very young age, at least what I think is a young age, and really seeing what is possible. And so that was really incredible introduction to the spiritual realms for me. Now, that then led to my teenage years, which I feel was pretty destructive for me because I was in I would say, a dysfunctional emotional place, as many of you could probably relate to in your teenage years, feeling like you didn't fit in. I was really hard on myself. I was very destructive towards myself emotionally, but I was still exploring many different modalities, anything from tarot to runes to magic to I Ching, any form of divination or any sort of learning I could do, self-empowerment, healing, etc. Which I would say then what really changed my path, or really just opened so many doors for me, is when I got introduced to The Secret, the documentary explaining the law of attraction, when I was 19 years old, so more than a decade ago. And I absolutely loved the concept of being able to create my own reality. And I got to learn that the hard way, of course, and by trial and error, and seeing exactly what it was about myself that was creating what I saw and what I experienced. And so that has been something that I, again, delved really deep into. I wanted to read every material on it, all spiritual books on it. I wanted to know everything about it in any way I could empower my abilities to become better and better and better at it. And I could honestly say that I'm pretty good at the law of attraction, to the point where now I even help teach it or share with my clients, or just in passing, to anybody who is curious about how to make it work for them, because I am passionate about this. Because why wouldn't you want to create your own reality? If you are upset with what you're seeing and you realize you can change that, why wouldn't you want to, right? So so that was very, very, very powerful for me in my journey, I would say. Now, the next thing that influenced me on my path, I would say, was when I was 22 and I had somebody gift me a course in remote viewing and remote influencing, which is a mind over matter programming, or mind entrainment, should I say, on how to, for the remote influencing, which is more what I specifically connected to, was a tool to really empower, again, using the law of attraction, but connecting to a higher plane in a higher field, and therefore manifesting from that place. So it just made my abilities to attract and manifest my reality much more powerful by utilizing and becoming much more in control of the mind, and allowing my thoughts to serve me rather than be what was in control of me, right? So that one was really powerful. Remote viewing is something that they used in the army, and they've utilized it there anyways, and I'm sure in many countries they have as well. And this is where you can put your mind in another time, space, reality and get information from that. So that I was curious about, but I didn't as resonate with that as I did the remote influencing to really create my reality. I love that concept because it's done wonders for my life. And I know it can do wonders for anybody's life once they give it a fair chance to explore it and to practice it and to utilize it. Then I would say after that was when my grandmother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And at the time I was also exploring a lot around holistic healing and health and well-being. Again, mostly motivated for myself to heal myself inside and out and raise my inner vibration of my physical vitality. So that was a part of that next exploration for me. But really hit home was when she got diagnosed with cancer, and she was living in South Africa at the time. So I only had a couple weeks that I booked out. We had my flights booked out to go see her. And in that time, I decided to get certified as a Reiki practitioner just so I could go back and be able to help her in any way I could. And I had experienced the effects of Reiki on me, and I loved it, and the energy healing and the balancing of the chakras and how amazing that felt, to where I wanted to be able to see if that could help my grandmother in any way. Unfortunately, she passed away the day before I made it out there. And so I never actually got to utilize that on her. And so I actually just kind of added Reiki to my toolbox and used it for friends and family. And that was pretty much that. Then I decided I wanted to move back to Colorado. Now, at the time I was living in Vegas for a few years with my now husband, but at the time we were boyfriend, girlfriend for a while. And I wanted to soul search. I wanted to figure out who I was wanting to be, right? I already played with the law of attraction. I attracted abundance. I got to meet tons of celebrities while living in Vegas. You know, I was able to manifest a lot of on the physical realm, the material things that you would think would buy your happiness. And after 4 years of really indulging in that, and again, being really good at attracting and manifesting abundance in that sense, or the networking with celebrities or people of influence, it really didn't create any soul growth for me, and I was really miserable, and I didn't understand why until I questioned myself and my motivation, and realized that I wasn't chasing happiness. So how can I expect to manifest happiness? I was chasing money, hoping money was going to buy my happiness, and then learned the hard way that that wasn't the way to go. So I decided I wanted to move back to Colorado, which is where I live currently. In Evergreen, Colorado is where I live right now. And I did some soul searching. I took some time off, and I was asking the universe for a sign of, show me the way. Like, what do I need to do for a living? What do I need to do with my life? I want to love what I do. I want to do what I love. And what is that? I didn't know. And so for the first time in a long time, I wasn't manifesting anything because I had no idea at this point what I now wanted. So I couldn't really put my energy into it to manifest it sooner. So I was kind of like really surrendering to the universe. And that is when my sister actually brought the modality called quantum biofeedback to my attention based on an experience that she had encountered, and to which this modality actually helped her and how accurate it was for her. So that then piqued my curiosity. I did some research into it. And I remember even consulting with a psychic friend of mine about the biofeedback, because it was a pretty hefty investment. And so I wanted to make sure it was right to go into. And I wanted some assurance. And so what she told me was that the biofeedback was going to be a great tool to boost my confidence at putting myself out there to the public, and because it'll come with credentials. And as we all know, everybody wants to know what your credentials are, and et cetera, and what education you have, right? And so this was a way for me, I guess, to feed into that need to have that credential. And but she said, but what people were going to see me for was my healing work. Now, again, at the time, the what I had under my belt was Reiki, which I was only using for friends and family, but I didn't really consider it anything I was really going to, I guess, be good at, or anything that people would really want to see me for. So I kind of brushed that off, and regardless decided to invest in the biofeedback, thinking that was going to be my bread and butter. Financially, I thought that that's what people were going to see me for. So surprisingly, as I now look back on how correct my psychic friend actually really was in her so-called prediction or interpretation of what was coming my way. So I got the biofeedback and then decided to add in all the tools that I had accumulated, since childhood: the astrology, the law of attraction coaching, the Reiki, the biofeedback, etc. And I put out my business, and slowly but surely started getting clientele, and people started seeing me for the Reiki. Now that's where things started to transform for me, because once I started doing Reiki, I started getting intuitive messages from my higher guides. Now, I had been introduced to multiple guides before, such as I have several that I am aware of right now. So I have Black Crow, which is a Native American entity or spirit being that connects to me through my dreams, and he had since I would say, or that at least that I was aware of his presence communicating through me through dreams, I would say since I was 19, I think, is when I got introduced to Black Crow. And then since I got introduced to Larry, which I channeled through automatic writing, and Larry is the one that helps me with my writing and my art, because I'm also a writer and an artist. And then Fadim is another spirit guide that I work with, and she especially helps me through the healing work that I do now. So she kind of came later. And then I had, in this last year, channeled my spirit animal guide named Tori, who's a toad. I know, glamorous, right? So, but anyways, that's kind of who I've been mostly working with as of late. But anyway, so I started getting intuitive messaging that started becoming much more stronger the more I did the healing work that I was doing, that initially was under the umbrella of Reiki. To the point where I was feeling as an empath, or getting clairvoyant messages or knowings through claircognizance about my clients that had a big clue as to why they were blocked, and then also modalities or things that they could do to address the reasons why they were blocked in the first place, or why they had certain illnesses or diseases, etc., or whatever their condition was, or how they were feeling. I was picking up on that. And so it took me some time to actually trust those messages, because it wasn't like a voice in my head or somebody talking to me. And so at first I thought I was making it up and wasn't trusting it, and then realized how big of a clue, or how big it was, or how important it was for that person to hear that information, because it was the clue to their healing, right? So that then led to my guides then saying, okay, this is great and all that you're able to share this information with your clients and it's helping them. However, what's going to be even more beneficial for them is if you can connect them to their own authentic experience for themselves, because you are still the messenger, which means the message can still be distorted through your perspective or perception or interpretation of what they needed to hear or experience or know, or as truth for themselves. And that has since led to what a new service that has evolved into what it is that we've now called the Shamanic Shadows Healing. And this is something I've downloaded from my guides, and it essentially pairs a sensory experience using multiple modalities such as spectrochrome therapy, which is color light therapy, vibratory therapy, sound therapy, crystals, essential oils, etc., with a powerful guided meditation that leads my clients into an out-of-body experience, which is then bridging them to connect to the higher realms, and therefore connecting personally first off with their higher self, whom serves as your internal guidance system, which most of us get out of tune with at certain points in our life because of, say, the conditioning we receive by others, or that others seem to project that they know what's best for us more than we do, which is usually the case from our parents starting off at a young age. And so that's like the first step, is connecting you to that, so you can take back your own intuitive abilities and extrasensory abilities for yourself to utilize, not only within your session, but in actual life as well, and start to hopefully utilize it for your own good, so that you don't outsource what you need to hear from others, such as psychics or mediums, etc. It's about getting that for yourself, and so you're the one that is personally interpreting the information or whatever you're getting from that experience. Then the other really amazing thing is that my clients are getting to connect to their guides, angels, guardians, loved ones, or ascended masters, etc., and getting information or feelings or things that they need to get out of this particular experience. And that's been really powerful, especially when those get to connect with their loved ones that have passed on, because most people who have suffered loss struggle with grief, and that is such a low vibration emotionally. So think about what that's creating if you factor in not only the law of attraction of what you are manifesting in your life based on grief, or even if that's never resolved or healed, it's a low vibration that can also create physical conditions or illnesses that can manifest because of the vibration that it causes in your actual physical body. Now, lots of emotions have that impact on us, but I would say getting to connect to the lost loved ones has been powerful experience for my clients who connect on that level to receive that sort of closure. And we then work on with all the major chakras and addressing throat chakra, which deals a lot with reprogramming your abilities to communicate and express yourself appropriately, and also having a better relationship with yourself. And then moving on down to heart chakra is what we call the emotional gardening, and that is where you are essentially de-weeding your emotional garden, and that is things like anger, resentment, hatred, sadness, pain, hurt, feelings of abandonment, rejection, neglect, etc. It goes after a lot of different things, and then replanting the vibrations you want more of. So it's essentially like going the fast route into becoming better at the law of attraction, because again, our vibration is primarily what manifests our reality that we experience. And unfortunately, a lot of the vibrations, hence these toxic states of emotion, we've adopted since early childhood, or sometimes we may have downloaded while being in the womb of our mother and experiencing in that womb environment whatever our mother is experiencing, and bringing in her stress, her whatever is going on in her world, and you're internalizing it. So many of us may have even been born with certain states of being and therefore cannot really recall why we feel that way, but may have had this lingering feeling following us into life, and therefore manifesting and creating events, whether you're aware of it or not, or relationships that don't feel good or creates undesirable experiences. So we're essentially de-weeding that emotional garden by accessing the rooted, implanted memory and experience that started that vibration or that state of being in the first place, so we can remove it. So that's been really powerful. And again, putting back in what you want more of, so that you can feel what it is to feel the certain ways you want, and therefore manifest and create the reality from that new vibrational state of being, because like attracts like. And plus feeling good and light. So usually people feel light, like they just let go all these burdens after this portion of the shamanic shadows healing. Then moving down to your solar plexus chakra, which is just below your rib cage. That's the energy center associated with the color yellow. And that's where we really work with the inner child, and trying to have that inner child complete a fractured memory within self that may have gotten stuck in time, based on whatever trauma or experience that really has followed you into adulthood and therefore has sabotaged you since. And so it's really about revisiting that to change it within your psyche, so it's no longer has that hold over you. But then also being able to connect with that inner child and realizing its needs, and realizing how you've played a role in not meeting your own needs, since, say, maybe the others in your world may have not met them, and so you may have continued that in your own adult life. And so this is kind of like a reprogramming there, so you can really heal that inner child and start to have a better relationship with that part of yourself, as if you were a child, and nurturing the you inside of you. Moving on down to the sacral chakra associated with the color of orange, and that's in the center of your stomach or your navel. And that really we address healing through forgiveness. So that one is pretty powerful for people, because most of us have trouble letting go the effects that others had on us in our life, and whatever they've created in us. And even though we think we let things go, most people will find that once they're experiencing what they're actually holding on to in regards to others, that they have not really made peace fully, because it is still lingering behind the scenes, those negative states of being associated with the others in our world. So that one is very, very powerful. And to finish off the experience is diving deep with the root chakra, and that is really connecting to the energies of Mother Earth, and really pulling in all of your needs being met on a physical well-being level, getting cleansed, feeling nurtured, feeling unconditional love, like feeling safe and protected, and getting that sense of inner peace before we then return you back to physical being and body. And outside of the shamanic shadows healing is another modality that we've called the shamanic journey healing. So nothing too, I guess, exciting about the name there, but that is where I find anything is possible with what my clients are experiencing. I have so many incredible stories. In fact, I've had many of my clients sharing their personal stories through their testimonial videos, not only of the shamanic shadows healing, but the journey healing as well. anything from exploring generational healing, of inviting in the consciousness of your ancestors or even your descendants or future descendants, and really sending healing up the ladder and down the ladder, because as we know, in this lifetime, shit literally trickles downhill as to what landed on our doorstep. So whatever, say, your parents did or did not receive in, say, their childhoods is a big clue as to what showed up in yours. And so for most of us, unconditional love was not necessarily a factor. And, you know, we may have gotten what we didn't deserve as children, and we may have also not had our needs properly met of what the things that we actually did need. So that one's pretty powerful for that. Things like exploring your future self, coming in and giving you advice as to what you need to reach that point. Past life regression, exploring past lives, that one's, and sending healing there as to what you may have, say, brought into this lifetime, you know, not necessarily aware of, because most of us don't come in remembering our past lives. So that one is really amazing as well. Again, interdimensionally traveling, astral projecting, exploring other realms on a conscious level, that or your consciousness exploring the other realms. That one's, from what my clients are explaining their experience to be, is pretty amazing. They're all channeling. So my clients are actually channeling their experience and speaking through their body. So, you know, I'm helping guide them on that, or seeing where they're at all times to make sure that they are getting what they need. Let's see. Oh yeah, planting your intentions, creating and manifesting while your vibration is so high, because while we're doing this session as well, or these sessions, is I'm also helping you by giving you energy. So we are boosting your energy. It is healing in essence, and so you are able to connect in a way that for most don't really get the opportunity to in their day-to-day life. Or even in, say, states of meditation, they may have not been able to really reach the potential of what meditation can really get you to access. Oh, and some amazing things, like for pregnant women, what's really been incredible for them is not only the baby within their womb receiving the healing as well, but being able to connect to your unborn child, and a lot of them being able to learn what the gender was before actually getting the results from the doctor. Getting to connect and communicate to that baby has been really powerful. Or for some, they got to connect to the consciousness of their future child before they had conceived. Gosh, like, I don't know, anything's possible. And what's really even more amazing is the actual proof I am seeing of this while getting video footage being captured during their sessions. I am being able to follow spirit orbs all over my room. They'll be like fluttering about in showers of them, or they'll be so bright and they'll be moving around, and I'll get to follow them before they lose them into the floor or the wall or wherever they go to. So I have lots of footage of that on my website as well. Sometimes they'll be rainbow colored, fluttering about, or flickering, like almost like a flashlight, just flickering, or no, strobe light, I guess, would be flickering. And so that is, I mean, gosh, that's just so incredible. You see photographs of people capturing spirit orbs, but I have not, besides the footage I've captured, I guess, seen, to at least to this extent, spirit orb footage being captured with video where you're actually getting to follow them. And it's just like, I mean, if that's not going to challenge your own accepted beliefs, I don't know what will, right? And no, it's not dust particles. I would like you to see, if you watch this, I don't know any dust particles that move around like these spirit orbs. So that's been really cool, and that's showing proof of what my clients are actually experiencing and connecting to higher beings and entities, or the angelic realms. So yeah, I mean, I've got so many stories I would love to share, and we'll probably do more videos on of some of the more powerful stories and transformations that my clients have experienced and have seen growth through. And hopefully you'll get a chance to explore some of the services I offer. I also offer the photon sound beam machine as a service, as that is based on Tesla's technology mixed with George Lakhovsky, Ed Skilling, and Rife, all in one technology. And that's really, I mean, you really feel that energy coursing through your body, and it has so many health benefits to it as well. So there's many great things to explore, and there's probably going to be more things I add later. I like to always incorporate as much as possible into what I can offer my clients, and especially in the world of energy, because everything is energy at the end of the day. So anyways, that's about me. That's my story. That's kind of more or less where I am up to now. Besides also, I guess, doing shamanic work with plant medicine, which has been another magical experience in itself, and enlightenment and growth and evolution. But that'll be maybe a story for in person, as I'm sure many of you would like to connect to that as well. Anyways, that's me. My name is Nicolle Leanne. I look forward to hopefully working with you soon. Namaste. Have a great day.